Welcome to Listen Audiobooks, your free audiobook. I'm your host. Today, we're exploring How to Become a People Magnet, the Power of Attraction. This audiobook will transform how you think about this subject. Let's dive in. Picture this. You walk into a room, a party, a networking event, a casual gathering, and nobody notices. Conversations are already in full swing. Laughter ripples across corners. You weren't part of making. You grab a drink, you find a wall to lean against, and you watch someone else do it effortlessly. They're not the most attractive person in the room. They're not the loudest, not the richest, not the most obviously powerful. And yet, people are drawn to them like iron filings to a magnet. Eyes track them. Shoulders turn toward them. Smiles appear before they've even finished saying hello. You've seen this person before, maybe many times, in many rooms. And somewhere deep in your chest, a quiet voice asks the same question it always asks. Why them? Why not me? That question is exactly why you are here. And I want you to know something important before we go any further together. There is nothing wrong with you, nothing broken, nothing missing, nothing fundamentally flawed in the way you were built. The gap between where you are and where that magnetic person stands is not a gap in worthiness. It is a gap in understanding. And understanding, unlike charisma myths would have you believe, is something that can be learned. We live in a world that loves to romanticize natural charm. We tell stories about people who were simply born that way. Born bold, born warm, born with some invisible social electricity that lights up every room they enter. And those stories feel good to tell, because if magnetism is something you're born with, then nobody is to blame for not having it. But here's what decades of behavioral research, psychology, and real human experience have quietly been revealing. The most magnetic people in the world are not accidents of birth. They are the result of specific habits, specific beliefs, specific ways of seeing themselves and other people that anyone, including you, can cultivate. This audiobook is your map to that cultivation. We're going to talk about the kind of presence that makes people feel genuinely seen. We're going to unpack the subtle art of listening that most people have completely backwards. We're going to explore how confidence isn't a personality trait, but a daily practice, and how authenticity, real, grounded, unpolished authenticity, is more magnetic than any rehearsed performance could ever be. But more than techniques, more than tips, we're going to talk about the deeper shift that has to happen first. Because the people who light up rooms aren't just doing different things. They're being something different. They've stopped waiting for the room to welcome them and started becoming the kind of person the room naturally gravitates toward. That transformation begins right now. Not when you're thinner, wealthier, more successful, or more confident. Right now, exactly as you are, with exactly what you have. Because the journey to becoming a people magnet doesn't start with other people at all. It starts with you. Chapter 1. Explore why some people naturally draw others to them, and why most of us struggle with connection, setting the stage for a transformative journey into the art of attraction. Think about the last time you walked into a room, and someone in that room seemed to pull the light toward them. You know the person I mean. They weren't necessarily the most attractive, the richest, or the loudest. They weren't performing. They were just there. And somehow everyone nearby felt it. Conversations bent in their direction. Strangers smiled at them without knowing why. And when they spoke to you, even briefly, you walked away, feeling like you'd been genuinely seen. Now think about how you felt standing in that same room. Maybe you were fine. Maybe you laughed at the right moments and said the right things. But there was a part of you, quiet, watching, that wondered what they had that you didn't. What invisible frequency they were broadcasting that you couldn't quite tune into. That question, the one you've probably never said out loud, is exactly why you're here. Connection is the deepest human hunger, not success, not comfort, not even love in the abstract, but the raw, immediate experience of feeling like you belong somewhere, like someone genuinely wants you in the room. And most of us, if we're being completely honest, spend a significant portion of our lives feeling like we're on the outside of that experience, pressing our faces against the glass. Here's what I want you to understand from the very beginning. The people who draw others to them effortlessly, the ones who seem to have some magnetic, almost unfair advantage in every social situation, they were not born that way. That is the myth we tell ourselves to make peace with the distance we feel. The truth is both simpler and more demanding. They learned something. They internalized something. And whether they did it consciously or through years of trial and error, they developed a set of internal postures, habits of attention, and ways of being present that most people never examine at all. You can learn it too. That's the whole point. But before we get there, I want you to sit with something for a moment. The reason most people struggle with genuine connection isn't shyness. It isn't awkwardness. It isn't even a lack of social skill in the technical sense. The real barrier is something quieter and harder to name. It's the fact that most of us walk into every room, every conversation, every new relationship, fundamentally focused on ourselves. How am I coming across? Do they like me? Did that land the way I meant it to? And that internal noise, that constant self-surveillance, creates a wall. People can feel it, even when they can't articulate it. They sense they're not quite being met. The people who draw others in have learned to flip that entirely. Their attention flows outward. Their curiosity is genuine. Their warmth doesn't depend on whether they're being received well in a given moment. And because of that, people around them relax. They open. They lean in. They want more. That shift, from self-focused to other-focused, from performing to being genuinely present, is the foundation of everything we're going to explore together. This isn't about tricks. It isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about removing the layers that have been keeping the real, magnetic version of you buried. And we're going to start right now. Chapter 2. Uncover the core principles of magnetic personalities, including authentic confidence, genuine curiosity about others, and the emotional intelligence that makes people feel truly seen and valued. Think about the most magnetic person you've ever met. Not necessarily the loudest one in the room, not the most conventionally attractive or the most successful by any obvious measure. Just the person who, when they turned their attention toward you, made you feel like you were the only person in the world. That feeling didn't happen by accident. It starts with confidence, but not the kind you might be picturing. Authentic confidence is quieter than most people expect. It doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need validation from the crowd or the comfort of a laugh track. It simply exists, like a steady flame that doesn't flicker when the wind picks up. When you carry that kind of confidence, people sense it before you've spoken a single word. They feel safe around you. And safety is magnetic. People are drawn, almost instinctively, toward whoever makes them feel that they can exhale. Here's what that confidence is built on. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being completely at peace with who you are right now, in this moment, without needing to pretend otherwise. When you stop performing and start simply being, something remarkable happens. The energy you use to spend managing your image becomes available for something far more powerful: genuine connection. And that's where curiosity comes in. Real curiosity. Not the polite, obligatory kind, where you ask someone how their weekend was and immediately begin composing your response in your head. True curiosity is when you ask that question and then you actually listen, leaning slightly forward, holding space for whatever comes next. Magnetic people are endlessly, sincerely interested in other human beings. They find people fascinating, not as a social strategy, but because they genuinely believe that every person they encounter carries a world inside them worth exploring. You can develop this. It begins with a simple shift in the questions you ask yourself before entering any conversation. Instead of asking, "How will I come across?" try asking, "What can I learn from this person?" That single reframe rewires the entire dynamic. Suddenly, you're not a performer seeking applause, you're an explorer. And people feel the difference profoundly. Now add emotional intelligence to that foundation, and you begin to understand what truly separates the magnetic from the merely charming. Emotional intelligence is the ability to read what someone needs in a moment, and then respond to that need rather than your own agenda. It means noticing when someone's words say one thing, but their eyes say another. It means knowing when to press gently forward and when to let silence do the work. It means choosing empathy over cleverness every single time. People who feel truly seen don't forget it. That experience of being heard, understood, acknowledged without judgment, is so rare in our world that when someone offers it genuinely, it lands like a gift. You become associated with that feeling, and people want to return to feelings that make them feel whole. This is the architecture of a magnetic personality. Confidence that reassures rather than intimidates. Curiosity that honors rather than interrogates. Emotional intelligence that connects rather than calculates. None of it is performance. All of it is practice. And the beautiful thing about practice is that it belongs entirely to you. You can start today, right now, in your very next conversation. Chapter 3. Translate those principles into daily habits and actionable techniques, from mastering body language and active listening to the subtle art of making every person feel like the most important one in the room. So now that you understand the principles, let's talk about what you actually do, every single day, to become someone people are drawn to without even knowing why. It starts before you say a single word. Your body is already talking. The way you carry yourself when you walk into a room, the angle of your shoulders, whether your arms are crossed or open. People read all of that in fractions of a second. And here's the thing, most people are so preoccupied with what they're going to say that they completely forget what their body is already broadcasting. So practice this. When you enter any space, a meeting, a coffee shop, a friend's kitchen, slow down just slightly. Plant your feet. Let your shoulders drop back naturally, not stiff, not performative, just settled. That small physical shift signals confidence and ease, and people feel it even when they can't name it. Now, eye contact. This one is subtle but powerful. Most people either avoid it out of nervousness or overdo it to the point of intensity. What you're going for is warm, steady, genuine. When someone is speaking to you, give them your eyes, not your phone, not the door behind them, them. Hold that gaze long enough that they feel seen, then let it move naturally. That rhythm, attentive but relaxed, communicates something rare. That you are actually here, fully present, not just waiting for your turn to talk. And that brings us to listening, because this is where most people quietly lose the connection they're trying to build. Active listening is not nodding along while you mentally compose your next sentence. It's real engagement. It's catching the thing someone said 3 minutes ago and circling back to it. It's noticing when a person's voice changes, when they're talking about something that genuinely matters to them versus just filling space. When you reflect that back, when you say something like, "Wait, what you said about your sister, tell me more about that," you are handing someone a gift. You're saying, "I heard you." And people remember that long after they've forgotten the details of the conversation. There's also the habit of names. Use a person's name, naturally, not robotically, during conversation. It's one of the oldest persuasion techniques in the world, and it still works because it's not really a technique at all. It's just acknowledgement. It says, "You are a specific person to me, not a face, not a placeholder. You." Now here's the subtler art, the one that separates people who are liked from people who are genuinely magnetic. It's the ability to make whoever you're with feel like the most important person in the room. Not through flattery, not through performance, but through genuine, directed attention. Ask a follow-up question. Remember what they told you last time. Resist the pull of distraction. Every single time you choose presence over habit, you are building something in that other person, a feeling they may not be able to articulate, but that they will absolutely seek out again. These habits aren't complicated, but they require decision. They require you, repeatedly, consciously, choosing to show up for the person in front of you. Do that consistently, and you won't have to chase connection. It will come looking for you. Chapter 4. Address the internal obstacles that repel connection, such as fear of rejection, neediness, and inauthenticity, and learn how to rewire limiting beliefs so your natural magnetism can shine through. So let's talk about what's actually getting in the way. Because here's the thing, you don't need to learn how to attract people from scratch. You were born with the capacity for genuine connection. Every child has it. Watch a 3-year-old walk into a room full of strangers and make a friend within minutes. That ability didn't disappear. It just got buried under years of experiences that taught you it wasn't safe to be fully yourself. Fear of rejection is the big one. And it's sneaky, because it doesn't always show up as obvious shyness or awkwardness. Sometimes it looks like over-explaining yourself in conversations, like you're constantly building a legal case for why you deserve to be liked. Sometimes it looks like humor, deflecting every serious moment with a joke before anyone can get close enough to see the real you. Sometimes it looks like staying quiet in a group, waiting until you're absolutely certain something you say will land well. You're not protecting yourself from rejection. You're actually guaranteeing a kind of loneliness, because no one can connect with the edited version of you. And then there's neediness. This one's painful to hear, but stay with me. Neediness doesn't come from wanting too much from people. It comes from believing you don't have enough to offer. When you secretly feel like a burden, every interaction becomes a transaction where you're hoping to receive more than you give. People feel that energy. It creates a subtle pressure in conversations, a low-grade desperation that makes others want to step back without quite knowing why. The antidote isn't to need people less. It's to genuinely believe that your presence adds something to the room. Which brings us to inauthenticity, not the dramatic, calculating kind. Most people aren't consciously performing. It's more subtle than that. It's the version of you that monitors every word in real time, asking, is this too much, too weird, too honest? That constant self-surveillance creates a flatness, a distance. People can't connect with someone who isn't really there. Here's what rewiring these patterns actually looks like. Start by noticing the story you tell yourself before social situations. Not during, not after, before. That pre-conversation narrative is where the limiting beliefs live. Thoughts like, they won't find me interesting, or I always say the wrong thing, are not facts. They are old conclusions drawn from old evidence, and you get to update them. When you catch one of those thoughts, don't fight it. Just ask yourself one question. What would I do right now if I already knew I was worth knowing? That question shifts everything. It moves you out of survival mode and into presence. And presence, real, unhurried, unguarded presence, is the most magnetic quality a human being can carry into a room. This isn't about faking confidence until you feel it. It's about making small, consistent choices to show up as the unfiltered version of yourself and letting the evidence build naturally over time. Every time you speak honestly and the world doesn't end, the belief loosens a little. Every genuine laugh you share is data. Every moment of real connection rewrites the old story, word by word. You are not too much. You are not too little. You are someone people are waiting to actually meet. Chapter 5. Issue a compelling call to action that challenges listeners to commit to one small magnetic habit today, reminding them that becoming a people magnet is not a gift, but a practiced, life-changing choice. So here we are. You've come a long way through these pages, and I want you to take a moment, just a breath, to recognize that. Not everyone finishes. Not everyone leans in. But you did, and that already tells me something important about who you are and who you're becoming. Now I want to ask you something, and I need you to sit with it honestly. When was the last time you walked into a room and truly believed that your presence was a gift to the people in it? Not arrogance, not performance, just a quiet, grounded confidence that you had something real to offer. Warmth, attention, energy. Something that made the air in that room a little better than it was before you arrived. That feeling is available to you. Not someday. Not after you've fixed everything you think is broken about yourself. Now. But here's the truth I need to leave you with, because it matters more than anything else we've talked about. Magnetism is not something you're born with. It is not a personality type reserved for the loud, the beautiful, or the naturally charming. It is a practice. It is a daily, deliberate, quiet choice to show up for people in ways that most of the world is simply too distracted to bother with. That's it. That's the whole secret, unwrapped. And choices, real ones, start small. So I'm not going to ask you to overhaul your life tonight. I'm not going to suggest you sign up for something, rearrange your schedule, or become a different person by morning. What I am going to ask is this. Choose one habit. 1. Something small enough that you could do it today, before your head hits the pillow. Maybe it's learning the name of someone you see every week, but have never properly met. Maybe it's putting your phone face down the next time a friend is talking to you, really talking, and letting them feel what it's like to have your full, undivided presence. Maybe it's simply smiling first, walking in first, asking one more question when the easy thing would be to walk away. Pick one, just one, and commit to it not as a trick or a technique, but as an expression of the person you've already decided to become. Because here's what happens when you do. That one habit builds a little confidence. That confidence earns a moment of genuine connection. That connection reminds you what you're capable of. And slowly, steadily, beautifully, your world begins to fill with people who are drawn to you, not because you dazzled them, but because you made them feel seen. That is the whole power of attraction, and it belongs completely to you. You don't need to be magnetic by tomorrow. You just need to be slightly more magnetic than you were yesterday. That's the pace. That's the promise. So go. Take one step. Make one choice, start one habit, and trust that the person you're growing into, the one who lights up rooms, who draws people close, who leaves everyone feeling just a little more alive, is not some distant future version of you. That person is already here. They've been here all along. They're just waiting for you to believe it. Thank you for listening to Listen Audiobooks. I'm your host. If this resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you for the next episode.